Good evening and welcome to the Town of Deerfield Selectboard Board of Health Sewer Commissioners meeting of January 8, 2025. This meeting will be held in hybrid fashion with opportunity for both in-person attendance and remote participation. Please note that while an option for remote attendance and remote participation is being provided as a courtesy to the public, the meeting hearing will not be suspended or terminated if technological problems interrupt the virtual broadcast unless otherwise required by law. Members of the public with particular interest in any specific item on this agenda should make plans for in-person versus virtual attendance accordingly. The meeting will be held in person in the main meeting room of Deerfield Municipal Offices. In accordance with Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, anyone intending to record the meeting must identify themselves to the clerk, provide their name and address for the record. So I'll call the meeting to order at 6 o'clock. This point, we'll have an opportunity for anybody in attendance, either virtually or in person, to have a 2-minute public comment. Does anyone want to ask any questions or make any comments? Seeing no hands, we'll move on to the first item of hearings and appearances with Cassie Sandarell.
There you go.
Hello, good evening.
Hi, Cassie.
Hey there.
Hi there.
How you doing, Cassie?
All right, I'm sorry I couldn't be there in person.
It's okay.
Have an unanticipated day at home today.
Well,
so I'm hoping you all have the memo that I submitted concerning the payroll
We'll get you a
election
copy of
worker
that.
pay.
Give me 1 second.
Okay.
yeah, we're gonna pull it up. I think I asked for it the other day, but I didn't actually get a copy. But I know
Oh, okay.
I know the topic.
Great.
I do too.
I unfortunately don't have access to my files, but I pretty much know the details of the memo. But I would love it if you could take a look.
Yeah, I think Christopher Dunn is trying to pull it up for us.
Awesome. Thanks, Christopher.
So do you want to talk generally about the topic?
Sure. Yeah. So our election workers, our poll workers, are a phenomenal group, as you know. We could not execute our elections. We could not check in folks at town meeting. We could not manage all of the early in-person voting hours without their help. And now with the massive amount of vote-by-mail ballots, I could not get out the near 5,000 ballots that we had to get out in 2024 without their help. The majority of our election workers choose to volunteer, but there are some who choose to get paid. And I firmly believe that we need to pay a fair wage. The wages, the pay now, I believe is not sufficient.
Do we know what that is at the moment?
Sure. So clerks or check-in folks. So the folks that you see that you check in when you choose to vote in person.
Yep.
The folks that check you in at town meeting and that work the early in-person hours, they are currently getting paid $10 an hour.
Okay.
Our clerks and wardens who run the election floor in my absence, if I'm in the office, they manage all of the provisional ballots, any issues on the floor, keep track of everything that's going on. They currently get paid $13 an hour.
Okay.
And our constables get paid $16.50.
Okay.
So
Have you done an evaluation of what it would do to affect your budget, or when would this go into effect? Like, when's the next time you need them? I mean,
Sure. So good questions. Just to give you an idea, so we had 19 election workers for the general election.
okay.
Four chose to get paid.
Yep.
So the majority are volunteers.
Yep.
During the state elections, the state provides early voting funds, and those funds can cover payroll.
Oh, good. All right.
I also, with my budget, always plan additional dollars because I never know if there's going to be a debt exclusion question in the fall or down the road
Right.
that I have to prepare.
Yes.
And elections, as you know, we don't have a choice. We need to execute and fund them. So
Right.
I just, the pay seems pretty necessary.
Yeah. And do you think people would still volunteer, and so we would budget for some, or do you think we would budget and pay everybody?
So I
just curious.
absolutely believe there's a culture of volunteering.
I agree.
And
Yeah.
community service in Deerfield that is
Yep.
strong.
Yep.
I don't think that is going to diminish
Right.
with a pay change.
Yeah.
I just feel that those few folks that choose to
Sure.
get paid deserve to get paid,
yes.
the value of the work being done, so.
Yeah. I was just curious kind of what we
yeah.
thought we needed to budget for that to cover ourselves, and
Cassie, you
Yeah.
did some survey work about what's standard practice in other communities?
Yeah.
and across the state?
Yep. So those have changed. I actually would need to do a new survey. That was from 2023. Sunderland, just next door,
Yeah.
they pay their wardens and clerks $25 an hour, and their checkers $20.
Yeah.
So, I feel like, and again, I don't have my survey in front of me. I apologize. I don't have my materials
That's okay.
at
No,
home.
it's fine. It's fine.
But the majority of the communities that I did survey in 2023 pay at least minimum wage, $15 an hour.
Right.
So, I think feel strongly we can manage, my budget can manage those dollars.
Yeah, and I was just kind of trying to get an idea of like how many hours, what the total amount would be. Like, what do we budget now? How much do
Sure.
we think we need to budget? Just as we get into budget season, so I could, think about that during budget season.
Right. Yeah. So, as you know, I'm pretty new at budgeting. Brenda.
Sure. Yeah.
Brenda is a huge help.
Wonderful.
So I look at an election as the entire cost being roughly $4,000, and that includes everything from postage to potential payroll.
Yeah.
To food for
Sure.
the workers, to it's
Extra
it's
hours.
everything.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because people
yeah.
need to be here
So
extra
I don't,
hours. Yep.
Right.
Okay.
I don't have the breakdown, like I said, in
That's
front
fine.
of me, but that's the gist
Okay.
that I budget for. So,
All right.
Cassie, when is the next time we would need to address this? When is the next election that this would come into play?
the annual, I would like this to, be something that I can implement for the annual in the spring.
Right, so the May election?
Yeah.
Correct. Yep.
Okay.
May 5th.
And that
And-
comes out of this budget right now.
We will be starting the reviews with the Finance Committee soon. You
Okay.
present your budget at that time too, right?
Oh, thank you.
Yes. Yep. Yep.
Good, we're just getting the printout here.
Sure.
So you have a recommendation that you would like to have the lowest paid people be raised to $15 per hour? Mm-hmm. And then,
Oh, that's the old one, Greg.
that's the old one.
I submitted a second one.
Okay, I don't think we have that, Cassie, so
Okay.
we might just want to revisit this when you bring your budget up before the Finance Committee.
Yeah, I mean, I
Sure.
certainly am in support of,
Yeah.
reflecting, the importance of the work that these people do and
Yep.
rewarding those who choose to be paid properly. So, yeah, I was going to suggest that we maybe handle this in the context of the budgeting process.
Yeah.
And
Sure.
then we can
Favor
review your recommendations
Okay.
Because I appreciate the work that you do to look in and make sure that Deerfield is current in these kinds of practices. It's important.
Yeah. Thank you.
Cassie, what we have in front of us is what was your original proposal. The new proposal brings it up a little bit more than what we have in front of us? Is that what I'm understanding?
It does. Yes, Blake, because I realize that soon we'll be in a new building.
Yeah.
And our election floor will be separate, not in the same building as my office. So while I am accessible on the floor, the warden and clerk and every election worker will have increased responsibilities if I am not right there to assist. So I think that also changes the like I said, increased responsibility, and the pay should be commensurate.
Yeah, that definitely changes the dynamics of that, being that you're in a separate building.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so I guess we'll take this under advisement and we'll pursue it in the next month or so, and we'll certainly be able to have something in place before the annual election.
Perfect. Fantastic. Thank you. I appreciate you listening, and I hope you all have a good evening.
Thank you,
Thank you
Cassie.
Thank
so
you,
much.
Cassie.
Yep.
All right. Take care.
All right, so the next, just a reminder to people in the audience, we have a 20-minute public comments period at the beginning of the meeting, and we don't typically entertain questions in the middle of each item. So I'm sorry that that's the case, but that's how we run the meeting.
And Tim, I would just quickly mention, we have heard from some folks that they're having trouble hearing board members, so just
okay.
if you can remember
might
to
be the
speak
handout.
directly in your mic. Yep.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yep. All right, so the next up is Select Board reports and announcements. Do you have anything, Trevor?
I just quickly, you may be touching on it too as chair. I just wanted to thank the first responders this morning for helping a horrific accident on 5 and 10, and I'm just thankful we live in a community with highly skilled, highly trained, well-paid first responders to be able to save lives in a tough situation like that. And I know it's trauma for the people and it's trauma for our staff, and I'm just really grateful we have the kind of professionals we do to take care of people when they're having their worst day.
Yeah, exactly. We've thanked the EMS, the police, and the fire department. As Trevor mentioned, it was a 2-car head-on accident, and it blocked Route 5 for a good part of the morning commute, and there were several personal injuries that are still being dealt with. And it's I just encourage people to be mindful in the mornings with their kids in cars going to school, and so just be patient and try to pay attention. I know that the morning glare can be a problem as well, so but again, yeah, I echo Trevor's thoughts for the families involved, and thank the public safety officials that we have. They do make me feel assured that when these sorts of situations arise, that our residents and our neighbors will be well taken care of.
Also, in thanking our own personnel, we ought to really thank Amherst and Northampton. I believe they sent ambulances because, again, there was a direct transport to Springfield. They didn't go to local hospitals. They had to go directly there, and some of the patients have been shipped to Boston already. So I think that it was an effort that was, again, the entire area has such a robust EMS system that that's what made it work. And so I thank them as well,
Yeah.
including our own people that
Good point.
actually orchestrated the whole thing and did the right thing from the beginning of the incident.
They're grateful for chiefs, keeping us up to date on what's going on too. You do a great job. Just welcome back to reality. Everybody feels like, I felt like we've been on vacation for a while. holiday. It's been, but it's good to get back to work and focus on the town's business. So happy to be here tonight.
Anything from you, Blake?
Yeah, I think that just one of the things that we had brought up the last time about getting, maybe extending the sewer commission, I'm sorry, I didn't speak in, the sewer commission, I think that that might be something we can bring up in the next, within the next couple of meetings, that we can have a discussion on that.
Sure.
Happy to do that.
Yep.
And I don't really have anything. We are continuing to make progress on the library and also on the 1888 building, but we'll hear more about that from Christopher Dunn later in the evening. Is there anything from the Board of Health agent? Ned Zavisky is here, I see.
Yeah.
Good evening.
Welcome, Ned.
I can barely hear you guys, just so you understand.
Something's going on with the system.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, now
Okay.
I can.
All right, can you hear me now?
Yes.
All right.
Okay, I don't have a lot, just a couple of things. Somebody's, the owner of the BBA Deli building is interested in possibly reopening, getting the place cleaned up. So just beginning stages, so we don't know where that'll lead.
Okay.
But he knows he has a lot to do. The fire captain was there to inspect the hoods, and Bob, the building inspector. And again, it's going to be a lot of work and a long time. It's beginning stages, so just giving you the heads up about that.
Okay.
So, Ned, just to be clear, we're saying the person who owns the building wants
Yes.
to reopen the foods, or make that available to some new business to open a food business there, or are you saying BBA Deli is in conversation about trying to reopen?
No, the owner of the building is thinking of opening.
Okay.
It's, and not the previous owner of the BBA Deli, or not the previous tenant.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, that's what I wanted to clarify. It's the,
Sure.
I just have one question on that, Ned. Is it that the owner of the building himself is going to do it, or is he planning on finding somebody else to go in and manage
When
that?
I spoke to him, he was planning on doing it along with his daughter.
Okay.
All right.
But there are somebody else in town that Bob spoke with today may be interested also, but that
Okay.
they haven't even made contact yet, so it's really early.
Yep.
okay.
The other thing was the Walk Free restaurant. I did issue their permit, the food establishment permit. They still don't have their liquor. They had their hoods done. The cleaner spent 8 hours cleaning their hoods. It was pretty bad, I guess.
Yep.
They're doing a deep clean on the kitchen. An industrial cleaning company is coming in, as well as the carpeting in the dining room. And they're going to be putting in a couple new mats. They have hired a ServSafe manager. I may have told you that already. And they have a handyman on staff, so
Okay.
things are getting done there. They're cleaning it up. I'm going to just kind of follow up regularly with them,
Great.
get them back in shape.
That's great that they're taking a proactive approach to that. That's good.
Yeah, they really want to keep going. I don't really think they have anything else
Yeah.
to occupy their time, so.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
Ned, are they thinking about the restaurant itself and opening the entire place up, or is it still going to be a takeout setup?
Well, there are several booths in the front that are open. As far as I know, it'll just stay like that
Yeah.
and possibly takeout. I'd like to see them do a little bit more, but that'll take hiring more people.
Yeah.
Maybe opening the rest of the restaurant. I asked them to, in the spring, maybe clean up the front a little bit. There's chip paint and the windows aren't clean and it's just non-attractive.
Yeah.
So,
Okay. That's great.
the other things I I talked to you about 341 Lower Road, the school bus.
Yeah.
I gave you an update on that yesterday. The father who lives across the street is going to attempt to move the bus up to his driveway within 30 days. So we'll see how that goes. They are living there. DCF knows about it, and they have no place for the children, I'm told, from an officer that works in the school system.
Are they in touch with ServiceNet and other, entities?
I don't know.
Okay.
I'm not sure about ServiceNet.
Okay.
But as I said, DCF has been out to the bus and took a look inside.
It's just not.
But they have nowhere to put the children. So
Well,
the children are happy. They're doing okay in school, I guess. So that's where it stands right now. It's not an ideal situation, but
Right.
the father assures us it's temporary.
Okay. Well, we want to, find ways to help and find entities and organizations that can help. So
Definitely,
we'll just try to
yeah.
keep on that.
And then Hoosick Road map, lot 93-1, the guy with the tent. Again, we did a inspection up there. He has portable toilets, a tent with a bed in it, little camper with all his storage in there, and he sleeps in his truck. And I referred them to his niece is actually working to kind of advocating for him. So there's a raft program that I sent information about it's through the state, and he's made it clear he doesn't want to go into a shelter, so that's probably not going to work. And he's just happy. He's been living in his truck for 2 years, he said, and nobody's ever said anything to him. So
Yeah.
I'm just kind of on the enforcement side. I'm a little worried about what to do next.
Okay. Well,
A little unsure.
we can meet on that and again try to get some organizational help. Find ways because.
And also, I think we need to, really get some input from our town council just to figure out.
Yes,
And I know-
yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah, the goal is just to help, not to be a harassment, but people need to, obviously everyone needs to follow the rules, and we just want to find a way to help people when they're in need.
I
Okay.
agree.
Yep.
Otherwise, that's really all I have right now. Just
Thank you.
Working with people, everybody's permitted now, so
Great. Thanks for that work.
I'll be out inspecting more often now in the restaurants and things.
I don't know if we'll have a meeting between now and the time that I'm going to be in Boston, but I know we have the court date for the Romanowski property, and I was wondering if you might be able to attend that. I'm going to be away in Boston that week. I think it's Friday the 20th, maybe 24th. I think it's Friday the 24th is the next court date, and Val might be on. I think she's on as well. I don't know if she knows that for sure. There was an email I think that came from the Attorney General's office, and I just didn't know if you'd be able to attend or somebody just to see where the update. I know they were looking for heirs across the world, actually, trying to find them, and then we're going to get an update on where they're at. So Val, do you have any update on that, Val?
Right, so the court date is on the 24th. I can go to that as well as Ned, and then I think that going forward, I think Ned can handle it.
Right. Perfect. That's great. Okay. Sounds good.
Okay, so the reason I'm on, if Ned is all set, I just wanted to find out what the board's, what do you want me to continue doing? I feel that Ned can handle it fine.
Yeah. I think we're good. It's always nice to have your advice and backup, but I think you've you've set Ned up very well and have been a wonderful service to Deerfield, and I've been grateful for your friendship and your knowledge, so I think we're in pretty good shape. Is that what
Okay.
that's what your thoughts are?
Yeah, I think the 24th would probably be my last
Yeah.
time in Deerfield until we come up to the recreational camps, and then
Yep.
I'll let him know how those are done, and I'll help him with that. But other
Great.
than that, I think that he's handling it fine.
He's doing great, and thank you for your help. Yeah, that's great.
Val, I thought you were thinking about staying on as an auxiliary type setup. I
Well,
think there was-
in a sense, that's what it would
Yeah.
be. I
Yeah.
mean, he's doing the bulk of the work.
Right.
If you need me to do something else,
Yeah.
or you
So
have
you would-
questions, you can certainly email me.
You'd
Yeah.
still be available too if we needed you for other issues, correct?
Sure.
Okay.
Great.
Yeah.
Thank you
Yeah,
very
I
much.
know-
Thank you for your
Okay,
service
so
too.
I don't know who did the budget, but it came through to Ned, and it had 100 hours for a second health agent. I guess that would be me. I mean, I don't know.
Well, we can take a look. I haven't
Are you
looked
looking at
yet.
that? I
Yeah,
don't know if you
and-
have
and
that. I
Val,
don't
we
know who
took-
did that.
Yeah, we took a look at that, and I don't know if Brenda had just plugged in that number, but obviously we're talking about, what additional hours in FY26 we might need for you, but then also, of course, there's a shared health agent service through the Public Health Excellence Grant, so we're exploring that option
Sure.
as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we're just getting into the budgets now.
Okay.
Yep. Well, great.
All right,
Thanks
Valerie.
again.
Okay. So that's all I have.
Great. Thanks,
Thank you
Ned.
so much, Valerie.
Thank you,
Appreciate
Val.
it.
Thanks.
Thanks, Ned.
Yep, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ned.
Reach out
Have
if
a
you
good night.
have any questions or need anything.
I will. Thank you.
Okay.
All right, so the next up is a bunch of minutes, and I'm just going to ask Trevor to run through.
I'm going to do a blanket motion. I've read through all the minutes. I don't see any changes at the moment, but so I'll make a motion to approve these in a row, and then if somebody wants to separate something out, we can, or we can just approve them all. So I'll make a motion to approve the Select Board minutes for September 18th, 2024, October 2nd, 2024, November 13th, 2024, December 4th, 2024, December 11th, 2024, December 18th, 2024 at 6 p.m., and December 18th at 6 p.m., and December 18th, 2024, 5 p.m., which was the Ad hoc Senior Housing Committee. So we'll take a motion on those to start.
Second.
Any further discussion?
Nope.
Hearing none. All those in favor?
Trevor McDaniel, aye.
Blake Gilmore, aye.
Tim Hilchey, aye.
And I'll make a motion to approve the executive session minutes for December 4th, 2024.
Second. If there's no further discussion, all those in favor?
Trevor McDaniel, aye.
Tim
Blake
Hilchey,
Gilmore, aye.
Oh, sorry.
Great.
Blake Gilmore, aye. Tim Hilchey, aye.
Thank you.
All right. Next up is discussion and decision items. We have Division of Standards Agreement for 2025 Weights and Measures, and I'll ask Christopher Dunn to talk about that.
Sure. So there are, municipalities have a couple different options for ensuring that their weights and measures are meeting state standards. For communities like ours that are between 5,000 and 20,000 in population, we can have the option of contracting with the Commonwealth to undertake, the work needed to ensure that those weights and measures are keeping up with standards. And essentially, this contract bills us for what they estimate to be, the work they'll have to do in Deerfield. And those, vendors who are using those weights and measures will pay them, and so there will be a remittance back to the community at a future date. So there is a, $5,000 roughly upfront cost that gets covered down the line for the town of Deerfield.
So weights and measures, this is things like checking gasoline distribution centers and
Sure,
making sure that they're putting out a gallon of gas.
food, gas, yep.
Be the asphalt pit too,
The
as far as
asphalt as
weighing
well.
trucks
Asphalt.
and that sort of thing as
Yep.
well, correct?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So,
All right. So do we need to take action on this? So
So I
Yeah,
would-
just, you can vote for me to sign if you,
Yep.
if that works.
I'd make a motion to approve the agreement for the weights and measures services between the Commonwealth Massachusetts standards and the town of Deerfield, Massachusetts.
And
Second.
authorize.
And authorize town administrator Christopher Dunn to sign.
Second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Trevor McDaniel, aye.
Blake Gilmore, aye.
Tim Hilchey, aye. Okay, so the next up is going to turn it over to, I think, Trevor McDaniel. It's a sewer abatement issue.
Yeah, so this is an abatement at 43 Eastern Ave under Fred Beckta. Fred had replaced his house over the last few years, and there was a mix-up between the he actually had no no house there for quite a bit of the year, and so the water department didn't get an accurate reading. It had a higher reading than it was supposed to be. So that they had corrected their information to the town, and Sarah had put through this application for sewer abatement since the house wasn't even there and most of the year and doing the abatement. So we're just abating it down to the minimum. So I would make a motion to approve the abatement for calendar year 25-1, bill number 780. The abatement amount is $2,701.40, leaving the minimum usage charge.
Second.
Everyone understand this? Any further discussion? Seems pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
Hearing none, all those in favor?
Trevor McDaniel, aye.
Blake Gilmore, aye.
Tim Hilchey, aye. Okay. All right, and the next item is declaration of surplus property in the 1888 building. Can you talk about the process and why this is necessary, Christopher?
Sure. So for items of town-owned property that are over $10,000, there's a whole process around auctions or RFPs to dispose of that property. For items that are under $10,000, municipalities in Massachusetts have to adopt written procedures to dispose of that property and then follow those procedures. So essentially, these are items that the value doesn't rise to the level where we need to actually go through an auction or issue an RFP. These are small items, and in this case, it has to do with what's left over in the 1888 building, which happens to be a number of items from our senior center, a former VFW post that was there. I believe Triad had some items in there as well. And at this point, since we were trying to prepare the building for remediation of lead paint and asbestos, we're looking to declare those items surplus and then go through our written procedures to actually dispose of that property.
I'm happy to do that too, and I think there's a lot that needs to go, but I wondered if has anybody like FW, the CLAP, there's probably some old photos and some stuff that they probably want, and I didn't know if we could reach out.
So there's definitely some photographs in there. There's some items that are pretty clearly, something that we wouldn't want to just throw in a dumpster, so to speak.
Right.
I have spoken with Jen Remillard about senior center items. She apparently went through the building with Kevin Scarborough when the building was closed back in 2020 or 2021 and determined that there wasn't anything there that they wanted to save at that point. And then I believe we've also reached out to Triad, and of course the Mosquito District is vacating the building currently. Their lease is up on the 15th.
Yep.
I would just flag, and Tim's aware of this, of course, and there's a commercial kitchen in there, and so we are looking at potentially moving the hood, oven, and other items out of the building temporarily while that hazmat mitigation happens. But those items may well require something beyond our under 10,000 surplus property policy.
Okay.
I mean, in individual, each item is not worth $10,000.
Correct.
In aggregate, it might be that there could approach $10,000.
Right.
But since the town is going to keep these items, I don't really think that that's an issue.
Yeah.
All the other stuff is an old Pepsi dispensing machine.
Yeah.
A
Which may
bunch
have
of-
some value.
A bunch of, yeah, I mean, if you want to chase it, I'm perfectly happy to
We'll
let
do
you
a
do
quick
that.
Google picture and see if anybody has a
You
take
can always,
on it.
you can always sell it on eBay,
That's right.
you know,
We'll
and,
take a picture on Google.
you
It'll
know,
tell you what
spend
it's
3
worth.
months to get
Yeah.
$2.
Yeah.
So we're
I hate
gonna.
to tell you this, but I think it would sell pretty quick.
I
It
do
would
too,
sell for a good
especially if it was
price.
stocked with beer.
People like that kind
We
of
should,
thing.
yeah, no, I mean, I
We'll take a look.
we're in between, you know, a February 15th deadline, you know,
Okay.
where things are going to get torn out. So
Yeah,
we've
get
had this
moving.
discussion about 16 times over the course of the last 2 years, that there's a bunch of stuff in there that somebody might like,
Yeah.
but
Now's the
nobody
time.
ever does. And so by declaring it surplus, we're just going to allow this process to move forward.
Good. No, that makes sense. I don't, do you make a motion yet, or
No.
do you need a motion?
Yeah, if you could make a motion, that would be fantastic.
Make a motion to approve the contents of the 1888 building surplus property for disposal.
Second.
Any further discussion?
Again, I think, Tim, you told me that, that there are different aspects of the town, like the highway department. They're going to be going through that to see if there was anything that they can, see if there's anything that they can use as well. So, I mean, I think that'll
Right.
be, but this will start the ball rolling to get them
Good.
in there. And if they want to look for something, go ahead and do it.
Right, if there happens to be, like, if somebody in the DPW needs an
Shovel.
old paper shredder,
Yeah.
you know, certainly it would be good to take it over and use it if it's usable. And we do intend to move the kitchen equipment. You know, that's definitely something we may find a home for it in another building in the future. And since we have some empty space to store it in, I'm proposing that we use the church sanctuary space next door, but that's the closest place where we could store it at this point. So if there's no further discussion, all those in favor?
Trevor McDaniel, aye.
Blake Gilmore, aye.
Tim Hilchey, aye. Okay. So next, we have a couple of board-related appointments and resignations. And so the first is Satu Zoller, who had been the planning board representative on the Community Preservation Committee, has tendered her resignation. And there's a follow-up of Ann Buchanan Weiss, who's also on the planning board, who will be looking to replace Satu or succeed Satu on the Community Preservation Committee. So I'll take a motion for acceptance of the resignation first.
Yeah, I'll thank Satu for her service, and I'll make a motion to accept her resignation from CPC.
I'll do the same, thank you, and I'll second it.
Great, and yes, thankfully Satu is staying on the planning board. But yeah, it's been a great, she's been doing a lot of work on community projects recently, so thank you so much for that. And hearing no further discussion, all those in favor of accepting her resignation?
Trevor McDaniel, aye.
Blake Gilmore, aye.
Tim Hilchey, aye. And next I'll take a motion on confirming.
Yep, I'll move to confirm Ann Buchanan Weiss as the planning board representative to the CPC board.
Second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Trevor McDaniel, aye.
Blake Gilmore, aye.
Tim Hilchey, aye. And thank you, Ann, for
Yeah, stepping up.
volunteering to step into that role. All right, so correspondence, can you?
Yes, I'll speak to the Tri-Town Beach application to the Community Preservation Committee. So Tri-Town Beach is looking to get 110 feet of new docking, and they're looking to divide that cost between our Community Preservation Committee as well as Whately's. So the total cost is $32,000. Their application to our CPC is $16,000. And they're just asking tonight for a letter of support to be signed by the Select Board.
I'd make a motion to approve the request for funding for the Tri-Town Beach dock and Deerfield's portion of that. I think they're doing an amazing job down there. Patty is doing great work. Ken, everybody that's serving on the boards from all the two towns. just really turn it into a great place for our community.
I'll second that.
Excellent. So if there's no further discussion, I will,
Absolutely. Again, this is to replace the dock that has been in disrepair for, I can't even tell you how many years. So I think the fact that they're now trying to make this a little bit more usable, not only for the swimming lessons, but for...
This is also a safety thing. When Tim and I were down looking at it, that what they plan to do is kind of a U-shaped dock, because it's really hard to get out there fast in the middle, if somebody is in trouble that far out. So what they're doing is doing kind of a U-shape or an L-shape off the beach, or so they can constantly patrol the lifeguards, and so they can run directly to that spot and jump and get there a lot faster.
Right.
So it's a safety thing as well as just recreational.
yeah, it's a well-thought-out plan.
Yeah. Yep. So I'm excited to support it.
So if there's, do you have anything else, Blake? I'm good. Okay. All those in favor?
Trevor McDaniel, aye.
Blake Gilmore, aye.
Tim Hilchey, aye. All right. Yeah, and thanks, Patty and Ken, and everybody on the committee for all the work you're doing over there. It's really bringing back a resource that had been let go for a while. All right. Will you take up the zoning variance matter in your report, Chris?
Yeah.
Okay. Next up then is town administrator and assistant town administrator reports.
Great. So a few quick updates. So Stillwater Bridge reconstruction project. So special legislation has been drafted by town council to facilitate the Article 97 land swap that's necessary to do that project. I'm going to be meeting with Elena and Corinne from the Rep and Senator's offices later this month, just to give them some context and talk it over so they can file that legislation on behalf of the town. And try to move it through the process, which involves getting 2/3 of each chamber to say yes. So
They're good at it, though.
they're good at it. They do it all the time.
Really good at it.
That's their bread and butter. So
We're grateful.
on the outreach side, with Greg's help, we've scheduled mandatory interviews for all the impacted property owners. So we'll be taking care of those this week. And we are submitting a reimbursement application to Chapter 90 for the survey and appraisal work. It's apparently eligible, given that it is a bridge project. And lastly, I just add, we're going to do a site walk with the Executive Office of Energy and Environmental Affairs. They're the agency that handles the Article 97 swap, essentially, and makes sure that the land is appropriate. So I believe January 23rd is what we're looking at now. So if anyone wants to take a trek down to the river and take a look at the Article 97 land down there, you're welcome to join. And shout out to Julie Caswell from the Open Space Committee for sending me a little map of the best walking routes down to the river there. So
Right, because you were coming to Boston that Friday.
on Friday, yeah.
Okay, great.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yep.
So one thing that you jogged my memory, if I could interrupt, this is just a general announcement to the town. The dry bridge, or the bridge that goes over the railroad tracks at the upper end of North Main Street, the District 2 office has basically completed their design work. They are in the process of presenting the design to the main office in Boston, and they also have to coordinate with the railroad to determine that the plans are proper. They're hoping that by the mid to late end of winter that they're going to be dismantling what's there and getting underway,
Exciting.
so that they can get this done.
It's exciting.
By the middle of summer. I think that's what the latest word is. So I'm sure that's a good news thing for everyone who has to use North Main Street or hasn't been able to use North Main Street to travel.
Maybe not so good news for the people who don't are
Yeah,
happy that no traffic is coming.
It's been
by.
like a giant cul-de-sac for a while. So anyway,
Yeah,
sorry to
it's great
interrupt.
news. Thanks.
No,
I saw that.
that's good. Appreciate the update. South County Senior Center, just wanted to mention we're going to have a boo meeting, I believe, next Thursday, so the 16th, and that's going to be one of the final meetings, looking at the draft designs from the consultant. before that project wraps up, and we have some final recommendations from them on the future senior center. 1888, Monday night, the site plan was approved by the planning board.
Oh, good.
And just as context, we initially Berkshire Design Group had submitted a site plan that showed one access drive. They resubmitted after some comments from our public safety personnel.
Good.
And it got unanimously approved by the planning board with some conditions from our fire district as well.
Okay.
So they'll have to do I believe it's called a swept path analysis to make sure there's a sufficient turning radius for vehicles, et cetera,
Yeah.
and incorporate that if necessary.
And John weighed in on that too, and the kind of where the police will go. And
Yep,
Yeah,
he was.
great.
I believe he was good with it. So.
perfect.
And then we've got some meetings coming up for that project. On Friday, the advisory committee meeting is going to be happening at 10 a.m. We're going to talk over all of these different things that are going on. And I did want to flag for this body the Zoning Board of Appeals meeting hearing rather, also on Thursday the 16th. You should have before you a copy of a letter of support. Just some context here. The existing 1888 building is over 51 feet in height, which is, of course, goes beyond what our zoning bylaws allow in that district. Because of that height, the addition that has been proposed would also have to be above the 35-foot height maximum, because the elevator needs to be able to reach the second floor.
Right.
So very common sense reason. The project is seeking a variance from our zoning bylaws with respect to height, and that matter will be taken up by the Zoning Board of Appeals on Thursday the 16th. This letter just kind of lays out the narrative case for the variance, and we're hoping to get it signed and before the Zoning Board of Appeals, so they have some direction from the Select Board on this matter.
So I would make a motion to approve the letter of support requesting the granting of a variance for the town of Deerfield on the height of the current and remodeled addition for this 1888 building.
Second.
Yeah, I just want to say that, as Christopher mentioned, the addition will actually be substantially lower than the existing building, and from North Main Street, if you looked directly at the building, the current brick building, you wouldn't see the roof line of the new building. So, and there's the church next door, which is also a higher roof line. So it's not creating a situation that's going to be out of context or aesthetically, jarring. So I think it's a good thing to support.
Yep.
So if there's no further discussion, all those in favor?
Trevor McDaniel, aye.
Blake Gilmore, aye.
Tim Hilchey, aye.
And then I would just, I believe Tim mentioned this earlier, but we're working with our OPM P3 to put out to bid hazmat mitigation work on the building, so addressing the lead paint and asbestos, and, hopefully February or March, so before a general contractor would take up actually renovating the building and constructing the addition. Senior housing-wise, I did just want to mention really quick, we've been working with FERCOG on getting the RFP out. So they are going to be, we're just finalizing some details of a revised contract with them to put out an RFP for senior housing development. And I did also want to mention that thanks to Greg, and thank you to Lori Cuevas, the former owner of the site, the church has been cleaned out of her personal possessions, and I believe Chris Miller, who was over there this week, said that the rectory is, other than a few small items, pretty much cleared out as well.
That's great.
So we'll be able to, when we have a developer, we'll be able to hand it over free of personal effects.
That's
so
great.
that'll be nice.
That's great.
And then a couple other quick updates. Landfill solar. So we do have some revised amendments coming down the pipeline. Just as a reminder, this had kind of stalled for a bit because Nexamp had come back and wanted to renegotiate things. Beth Greenberg, our consultant, managed to kind of smooth things over and make sure that we don't really need to completely reopen the agreement. And the next step is going to be, and it's not clear yet whether it's going to be a planning board decision or a select board decision, but essentially there are 2 parcels that are affected by the landfill solar project, and that the property line dividing them essentially needs to be magicked away. So Lisa is going to get back to us on the exact process. Might be this body, might be the planning board, but just a heads up on that.
Yep.
And then lastly, obviously, we're hiring for a number of positions. I did want to mention, with some discussion with some folks here in town, I put together some screening groups for those different positions, because we are going to be having preliminary interviews over the next month for the town planner position, the public works superintendent, and the town accountant. So on the town planner screening group, Denise Mason, Tim Hilchey, and Lori Baronis are going to be helping me out. Public Works, we're going to have Bill Hildreth, Chief Pachurik, and Peter Lankowski. And then for the town accountant position, Brenda Hill and Sarah Kimball are going to be helping me make a decision there to recommend to the select board for ultimate interviews.
That's great. Thank you. Thank you
Thanks.
very much. Feel like we're building a great team here. Very excited about the future.
Do you have anything, Greg?
The only thing I would add, well, first I just want to say Happy New Year to everyone in
Yes.
Deerfield.
Thank you.
And hope everyone had a wonderful holiday. It was slow here in the town hall during that time, so we thank you for that, and I hope that your family festivities were wonderful. The only thing I would add is that we have just a heads up. We have a public meeting with Treehouse coming up next week, so
That's
the
true.
public is invited to that.
Yep.
So come and learn a little bit more about Treehouse. If you don't know much about them, this is your chance to learn more about it. And we've heard some of the issues around the sound, so that'll be discussed as well as far as their concert series. So. Please join us. It's next Tuesday. I think it's 6 to 8.
Yep.
On the 14th. So,
Great.
other than that, I guess that's it.
Sounds good.
Yeah, and it's an opportunity to meet with a business neighbor and share your thoughts about the things you like and things you'd like to see improved. So look forward to hearing from a lot of people in the community. Is anything else unanticipated? Well, in that case, I'd say that our next annual meeting, our next meeting, I think, is the 22nd, a regular meeting of the Select Board. And then several of us will be attending the Massachusetts Municipal Association meeting in Boston for a couple of days to learn about.
Yes, and we were talking a little bit about the Maya rewards program, and I think we've kind of nailed down a few places, and you were going to maybe get an answer between now and then on how many we had to go to. And
Yeah, and I haven't heard back from our insurance agent just yet, but I've put together a list.
Four in or something, 4 or 5,
yep.
And that's generally easy between all of us.
Right, I mean, we
to give
usually
enough
tap
credit.
out quite quickly.
We do.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for some input from you, Trevor, as to where I'm supposed to be going.
That's all
on
right.
this
We
thing.
can help with that. We
Yeah.
can help with that for sure. You'll enjoy it. It's good information.
Yeah, and
good
you-
to network with everyone, and
Yeah.
yeah.
And
fun.
you learn a lot. I mean, the
You really
law
do.
changes every year, and so
Yep.
one of the sessions we almost always go to is related to changes in state law,
Yep.
related to municipal government.
Yep.
And they have very good legal people there to tell us what we need to be watching out for.
Yep.
Um,
It's very good.
And, all right, so if there's no other business, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second,
All those in favor?
Trevor McDaniel, aye.
Blake Gilmore, aye.
Tim Hilchey,
you
aye.
all
Thank
very
you, everyone, for your attendance.
Yeah.
See you next time.